Well, we set up a school in 2005, and it was niche. It was an international school, but in no way a summer school. And the whole purpose was to prepare younger students for going into UK, predominantly UK boarding schools. Well, we didn't have any knowledge of our purchaser prior to the discussions which we had. And again, there were two individuals who had some educational background, rather different, I think, to our own, one more administrative and the other, I think, at the tertiary level. And we thought that there was a synergy between two people running a business, as we had, and the incoming purchasers. I think the long list was quite considerable, and the list that ultimately we prepared material for and we met was a relatively tight and a very focused list. The research process itself, I think, was it's very stimulating. It was rigorous. It was challenging at times. And it can be a lengthy process too, but at the end of the day, it's well worth it. And I think that generally there are people that are brought to the table that you would not have had any knowledge of or identified had you been trying to perhaps sell a business yourself. I think you have to stand back, which is difficult to do when you're totally immersed in running the business. And I think you have to be totally and completely objective about it. I think you mustn't consider the business to be the baby that you don't want to let go of. And I think you have to realise that you've got to have an exit strategy. And it's really easy to say that now in retrospect, because at the time I found that so hard. Again, different for everybody, but I think there were two things really for me. One was actually maintaining the momentum of the business whilst at the same time you're working to complete due diligence. And I think that is a really difficult balancing act. And secondly, I think it's the people issue, the confidentiality, actually knowing when to share the information with your senior team at the earliest opportunity. And people do this very differently. But for us, it was actually knowing when was the right time to inform our team. Well, if I was honest, none of it. I didn't really enjoy it that much. But I think only because the more we prepared the material and met with the prospective purchasers, the more I convinced myself I really didn't want to let the business go. I found that quite hard. But I guess actually meeting with some very interesting people and potential buyers, mostly, that was enjoyable. Retirement's pretty wonderful. Yeah, very satisfying, I think. And like everybody that has set up and run their own business, you invest so much of yourself in it, and therefore to have the time to do the things that you haven't been able to do whilst you've been so fully engaged is fantastic. It's really lovely. Certainly, I think that the whole process itself was very professional. The team were very supportive to us in particular, and I think that the expertise that is provided is over such a wide spectrum that you couldn't possibly deal with that on your own, or if you did, you couldn't do it effectively. And I think for us, everything we hoped for was delivered. So certainly, without question.